my wife cheated while we were engaged, and I just found out 16 years later. Opinions are welcome, but please be mindful. These are the ones I'm always curious about getting more opinions on. So we were engaged and had a 2-year-old daughter at the time. We were high school sweethearts and each other's first. We were married in 2010, and she says she cheated in 2007 or 2008, and her and the guy hooked up twice. The guy was still married, but was going through a divorce to add insult to injury. I always suspected something between them because his friend and my wife worked together. Over the years, when his name came up or we would see them in public, I would voice my suspicion to her, but she would downplay it and deny it. She would tell me he tried to talk to her and etc., but she would turn him down and put him in his place. So I always took her word for it, but I never liked the guy because of it. So about 2 weeks ago, we saw the guy while we were out eating, and for some reason, the two of them stayed on my mind heavy. So I asked my wife about the guy again, and this time she told me they kissed twice before, back while we were engaged, and that was it. So I took that as that, but a few days later, I couldn't let it go, and I asked again, and finally she confessed that they slept together twice, when they kissed once one night that she got off work, and again one day during her lunch break, as in like she was waiting for her lunch break, and I'm devastated and not sure of my next move. She told me this is the only time that she cheated on me, and I believe her. We have been together 14 years of wonderful marriage, but now I'm not trying to hear it. I feel like there's a lot of cheaters on this, and that might just be like Reddit targeting me because I saved certain ones. But like once the trust is broken, it's broken. And immediately the first comment is, do you believe this is the only time? Because if you have that like trickle truth is a big thing where they didn't tell you at first, then you push it, then they finally admit to it. And they're only admitting to a little bit. And then later they admit to a little more. And so I bet if it keeps trickling out, it's going to turn to, oh, it wasn't just 2 times, maybe it was 4 times. Oh, it might have been going on for a bit longer. Or they've still been texting or sending messages back and forth. Or maybe it's getting worse and they've been just trying to hide it. Is just where the start of it, and it'll drive people nuts. Like you'll start driving you nuts, you'll push more, you'll get more information, and it'll never, ever end. And even if it does end, you start wondering if there's more to it that you weren't told about, and then there's no getting out of it. It immediately just destroyed the entire relationship, the entire marriage, even if it did happen 16 years ago. I don't blame this person for trying to end it. I told my wife that I wanted a divorce 4 years ago, but that I would save up some $15,000 to give to her so that she doesn't have to start over with nothing. I live in Texas, and I had a house before we were married, so it's not up for grabs in the divorce. Last year in June, she agreed to take the money and leave, but never took the money, and came back soon after telling me that she had been diagnosed with lupus. She never worked during our marriage. I've sent her to school 3 different times, all of which she graduated. She's been diagnosed with lupus. She says she stays in the house and mostly laying down or sitting on the couch while I'm home. I've moved on romantically for almost a year now, and the girlfriend knows my situation and all the details. The divorce was officially submitted to the court. My lawyer keeps attempting to schedule mediation, and she won't agree to a time or date or anything to move the divorce along. Normally, me and my girlfriend get a hotel or an Airbnb, but I'm really fed up with all this and made a joke to have a slumber party, and she was actually up for it. That's interesting. I've kept no secrets from anyone. My wife has told me that she feels disrespected by me having her drop me off at home, so this would be a major escalation. Thoughts, please. Edit number 1, just for clarification. I do not sleep with my wife. I have not been on romantic terms with her for years. I didn't say I love you. I don't sleep in the same room. I don't and haven't led her on for years. This is merely a point of me having been with her for 14 years, and I care for her as a person. I don't think she's a bad person, just not the person for me, and I'm tired of being held hostage in a situation/relationship that I don't want. Also, I put move in the header. I meant to put sleepover. I just don't know how to edit that part. Well, I'm glad it's clarified. This guy got divorced, or is in the process of a divorce, for the past 4 years. He has a girlfriend and wants the girlfriend to just like come and stay at his house on occasion. But his ex, or soon to be ex-wife, is still there and won't leave. And he doesn't want to like screw her over, but like there's no good way out of that situation. Edit number 2. Divorce process is you have to submit the divorce to the court. The other party is served, and they have a time limit to submit an answer to the court. Then mediation is scheduled, and both parties are required to be present and negotiate in good faith and an open mind. The court then gets the agreement, and you go in front of the judge to basically certify the agreement, and the divorce is filed and official. Before the judge certifies the agreement, she is still allowed to stay in the house, and I'm not allowed to change her living conditions. That's the tough part. That's where it gets screwy, because like you can't force somebody into a situation. Usually people just don't want to live with their ex. I legally cannot kick her out. I can't cut off her money. I can't reduce her comforts within reason. Texas law. The only thing that works in my favor is the fact of non-communal property, as in he owned the house ahead of time. Almost in this exact situation. I wasn't divorced and I wasn't married to somebody at a time, but I was in a situation where I was with someone, the place we lived in, but she didn't have the means to get out. And it got real awkward real fast. I was like sleeping on the couch and I was like, hey, this is my house. I need you to start sorting your stuff out. Gave her a certain time frame. The time frame just kept getting extended. And there's no good way out of that situation. You just kind of have to depend on the other person to like understand that they need to leave, because the only other ways out are like you call the cops with papers or get a like restraining order against them. Like there's no clean way out of the situation, and it gets real messy really fast. And if you're with somebody that turns out to be very vindictive, that is dangerous. Especially, they can say anything. They can make you seem like the worst person in the world and try and get it in writing. And like, it's scary. So you just want to try and get it resolved in the most amicable way possible, but it's so hard to do. Somebody immediately asked in the comments, is her condition self-diagnosed, as in the lupus, or is an actual medical report stating the diagnosis? That's a good point, because if she's somebody that just kind of like lays around and says she has some condition, but in actuality she doesn't, I've also been in that situation. I have a terrible dating background. I'm very happy with my relationship now. It is a very good and healthy relationship, but there are some skeletons in the closet as far as that goes, or some bad ones in my past, I guess. Maybe that's too much to share. Being in situations like that, or being in situations like some of the other ones we read, it's like you need to make sure that you're in the place to find the right person, find a healthy person while you're also healthy. That can be tough to do. It takes some work on yourself, but a lot of times when you wind up with bad people consistently, there's something that you're doing wrong. I've moved past that, and I've found somebody that I think is great for me 99% of the time. I'm sure we both get on each other's nerves on occasion, but we have the same goals in life, and I'm happy for the person I've met. I had to get through a lot of bad people, bad relationships to really grow and learn enough about myself. I shouldn't get in those situations again. And situations like these are what happen.